So I just wanted to preface this video by saying this is no way an attack on self-help as a genre or self-improvement as is more popularly called nowadays, or of course the people who enjoy it or listen to. This is just my experience and my thoughts on this topic. So I started actively reading, I would say, at the age of 18. What I mean by that is after being sort of swamped with various YouTube videos and lectures and stuff about how we all have to read more, be more subjective when picking the content that we consume in order to be successful. So I'm sure you've all seen content where you're being advised to read more non-fiction, more business-minded books, more great routines and habits to get into in order to all turn us into this productive machine that has a side hustle and does all that sort of thing and become rich and successful and own our own businesses and all that sort of thing. So at the age of 18 I started consuming more content. I started off reading, of course, and then found that audiobooks sort of aligned with my personality a lot more. I much more preferred to be told something. Just sort of fits into my brain a little bit easier. And then I'd say for the next sort of 2-3 years, I listened to nothing but productivity audiobooks, self-help, self-improvement, daily habits and that sort of thing. And I actually found myself getting bogged down a little bit, actually, for a few various reasons that I wanted to make a video about, in case anyone else is feeling the same and hasn't located the reason why yet. So after being advised by people who are a lot smarter and have a lot more experience than I was listening to all of the, the bestsellers in self-improvement, Master the Day, the 12 Rules for Life, and, so on. And these books are great in what they do. They really do inspire change in one's life. They, help to get you to find your own motivation. Certain books talk about experiences in like investing and all that sort of business stuff that we should all be paying more attention to. But what I actually found I was doing a lot more than learning the great habits and things to incorporate in my own life. It actually ended up sort of setting my personality adrift, if that's not too a grandiose term way of putting it. But basically I found myself being obsessed with always being productive, not wanting to take on too much time in like personal relationships or, just general chat. Because I thought, because I was consuming all of this productive content, oh, this is a waste of time, this is not pushing me forward, this is not growing a business, this is not helping my side hustle and that sort of thing. And I'd say the biggest thing that I found myself doing was comparing myself to other people. And I'm sure you'd agree, we all have way too much of that as it is. We see someone on Instagram and think, oh, I should look like that. We see somebody's viewing figures on YouTube and think, oh, I wish I could have that. We're just constantly comparing ourselves to other people who put themselves out there. And of course, no surprise to anybody, that whole thing of you're not seeing their full story, you're only seeing their highlights, you're comparing your real life with somebody else's highlight reel. Of course, when we put stuff online, it's dramatically edited, through trying to achieve a certain persona that we want to put across, which isn't actually reflective of our true selves. You've heard all that before, I'm sure. But I found myself being increasingly more easily convinced of other people's successes and comparing them to my own, what seemed like failures. Now, the reason for this, I feel, is because most self-improvement, productivity books, in my opinion, are not really written for humans. What I mean by this is, you take a book like The 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson and similar books like that, and they're written very logically, for the sound mind, and they're written they're written as if we, the consumer, are perfect human beings, or at least capable of being perfect. They are written for people who want to live with consistency and want to live with being perfectly logical and reasonable and rational human beings. Now, in my experience, I have never actually met a rational, reasonable, or perfectly consistent human being in my life. I am certainly not one of them. My issue with the way that these books are portrayed is that this level of perfection is achievable, and in my experience, it kind of isn't. We as human beings are so flawed and so weird and are so inconsistent. I mean, I hope that I'm not alone in the fact that I say things like, "Oh, I want to achieve this," but then my actions don't follow it. Not because I'm a particular idiot. I mean, I am, but not in that respect. But it's just because you change, and it's difficult to live up to your own expectations. Never mind the expectations set out for the intended audience, or or what the book expects from you as a human being. I hope that makes some sort of sense. So after this sort of revelation of, oh, that's why I'm not jiving with this particular content, this is why it's changing me in a negative way, it's because I'm not actually aligning with the types of people who this book expects me to be, or expects for me to become, because it's quite unachievable. So what I was actually doing was I was getting upset with myself and having increasingly negative, letting a book impact me negatively, because I was thinking, well, I can stick to a certain routine for a month or two, and then it goes down, and that's because I'm rubbish, or I'm not as good as the person who I need to be. Incredibly negative stuff. So because this was kind of getting me down over a long period of time, I changed things up. I stopped listening to self-improvement books. I quit cold turkey. So I actually stopped listening to self-improvement books, just to give myself a break, to sort of try and heal. You hear about self-love and stuff, which is fantastic and everything, but again, it's difficult to keep up. So what I decided to do was quit those productivity themed books and start listening to the stuff that I actually read and listened to for pleasure. Fiction books, fantasy books, romances, sci-fi, just basically anything other, and kind of use literature for what it was originally intended, really, which is escapism. Now, that is a negative word, of course, in our society, because we shouldn't be using anything to escape, even though everything is escapism if you think about it. But I was using it for its intended purpose, or using most fiction for its primary purpose, which of course is to be whisked away to another land and take some time away from my own head. Now, of course, it's not as black and white as that, because you're hard pressed to find a good fiction that doesn't change you in some way, or doesn't question your pre-consisting thoughts. Of course, there is an opportunity to learn in most things, if not kind of everything, really. And if it doesn't teach you anything new, you are more strengthened in the things that you thought before. So my point is that once changing what I consumed, it actually did help with being able to stand myself, which sounds very extreme. I'll get back to it in a second, but it really helped me sort of understand, or at least sort of give myself a little bit of a break, where as before, when I was consuming a sort of 2 non-fiction audiobooks, business books, and all the bestsellers a week. So I was finding myself in this sort of mode of, oh, I should be more like this person. And then obviously when I stopped listening to that, I changed what I was consuming. I started listening to like the Harry Potters again. And I found myself thinking, you know what, I'm all right. I'm enjoying this. And it is not a bad thing to be whisked away and to have some time away. And now, after sort of 3 years of not really listening to those productivity books that much. I've still listened to biographies and stuff just because that's my favorite genre. I've started to peter in a few self-help books again, but the ones that are more catered to understanding who we are as human beings, sort of more forgiving psychological analysis type themed books, which I found interest me more. So I definitely don't stay away from nonfiction as a whole. I'm just a little bit more sort of refined in what I consume, and I think, okay, this is great. This book, promises that you will learn the techniques to make £1 million and be the person of your dreams and have a six-pack and marry a supermodel, with all those silly things. Instead of if something like comes up or I get recommended a certain book, I sort of now have refined my reaction to, oh, well, if it helps you, that's fantastic. Why would I take away that from you? For me personally, this sort of seems like it's going to take me down a wormhole of self-loathing, because I'm not going to be as good as the person, or I'm not going to be able to keep up this facade that I could one day become this amazing, fantastic, 100% perfect thing. Now, just while sort of talking, I really don't want to give the impression that I'm against improvement, but I do want to enforce the fact that I don't think improvement solely comes from somebody outrightly saying this is going to improve you. I think improvement, I think that I think I have improved as a person from stepping back from this genre and more focusing on the things that I enjoyed. I've definitely become a lot more happier, and I found it a lot more easier to stay consistent with consuming literature, definitely. And also, it's really fun at parties when people, reel off the classics that they've read for university and you've read them for pleasure, and you can be all smug about that. So I feel like from expanding my library, as it were, physical and, audible library, what I found from expanding my library has also expanded my learning possibilities and opportunities, and, improved me in areas that the sort of self-help books sometimes miss out. It's very popular, sorry, this is getting really ranty, but it's very popular to think that recreational time is, a waste of time, which I don't believe is true. I used to think, while I was setting up, I'm an audiobook narrator, so while I was setting up that business a few years ago, and still today, I would spend all my day doing that and, working on the business and trying to grow it and trying to connect with, important people in that field and that sort of thing. I found myself either turning down opportunities to go outside into the real world, or when I did go out into the real world, I would find myself sort of thinking, oh, this is a waste of time. This is what I do while I'm waiting for life to continue, life being my business and job and stuff. And now I'm a little bit older, it's sort of flipped, and actually I've realized that life isn't just moments. Life is the collection, life is everything. Me filming this video is a part of it, but then also editing it later and sort of thinking about it and looking through it is also life. And by consuming this genre, just for me, it just so happened that I was starting to ignore the other parts of it. I hope that makes some sort of sense. I'm sure if it doesn't, you'd have clicked off it by now. But yeah, so that is my experience of being too close to that genre, and why for me it helped that I took a step back and started to explore more fiction books and books that some people sort of snort at. So in a way, the Harry Potters changed me a lot better than most business books, even though I'm a business owner. Food for thought. Anyway, welcome to this channel if you have not seen it before. The Audiobook Club is a place where we're trying to develop a little community of like-minded audiobook enthusiasts, and we review books and we talk about, everything to do with literature and, both non-fiction and fiction audiobooks. and maybe even a little bit of behind the scenes of how you create an audiobook, and that sort of thing. I wanted to start off with this video because when we've been doing the audiobook club on Facebook for a few months, and where we recommend a book at the start of the month, and then at the end of the month we do like a little live stream and chat about it and stuff. And of course I ask for recommendations for people all the time, just because that's, fun. And some of the feedback has been was like, really like business-minded books, or how to be a better human being in 30 days, and it's all, you should exercise more and blah blah blah. And my response was that I'm going to stay away from those, more likely than not. Not because I don't believe that we should all exercise more, or we should, quit coffee, or, whatever the new trend is. I think they're all great, and if they work for you, then that's amazing. But my feeling was that this world is already too full of people saying that you should be better. And it is really important to me because, I was one of those people who I still am really, was the person who got upset with themselves a lot because I wasn't as good as the person on the screen. I woke up on, day 30 of the month-long ab workout challenge and thought, sod this, I don't want to do this anymore. And then quit for a week and started eating junk food again. And then got upset with myself thinking, oh, I'm just rubbish and I'll never get to that point. It's really damaging. So I actually wanted to more cater this to books that, will let you enjoy your life, because I'm sure that you have to put up with people saying that you should be better for 90% of the day, and I didn't want to add to that and make this another place where you come to and think, oh Christ, I've got to be better here as well. Just a personal opinion, which I hope is somewhat relatable to some of you. But yeah, so feel free to stick around. It won't all be ranty, and it definitely won't all start off on this sort of glum note. But that is something that's really important to me, is something that I wanted to bring to this channel. We have loads of ideas for content, some really fun stuff, and as well be advertising more of our live streams. At the moment they're done on Facebook. All the information, by the way, is in the description below. At the moment we've been doing live streams on Facebook. I'm thinking about changing that to do Zoom, so it can be a little bit more sort of, have that involvement from people, be a little bit more communal. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, please feel free to stick around, subscribe, and do all that sort of stuff if you feel inclined to do it. And reach out to me if you have any ideas, or recommendations for audiobooks, or just anything that you might want to see us talk about on this channel. So thank you very much for watching. Apologies for the sort of ranty, glummy video for the first one, if this is the first video that you've come across. Hopefully, if you've seen other videos on this channel, hopefully they're not all, on this sour note. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.